been confirmed. If you need technical assistance during your call, press *0.
You are the first caller to this conference. Please wait while others join.
And this is our Entrepreneurial Fireside Chat Part 2, Lessons Learned in Growing Your Business. And this, again, will feature Mr. Fabomi Ojuola and Mr. Stan Washington. Fabomi, you can correct me as I mess that up because I only know you by Fabomi, so I apologize. You're a technical professional. Your technical professional and executive development team continues to deliver a variety of products, including these quarterly career development webinars, the quarterly meetings, and also the PMP prep and online classes. BDPA is continually considering launching a PMP class and also the BDPA Institute. So watch the BDPA.org website for more information about future webinars and things of that nature. Our presenters are Fabomi, and Fabomi is president of Crestpoint Solutions Incorporated. And Crestpoint facilitates management and engineering software delivered in a unique web-based manner for data center infrastructure management solutions. So if you've ever seen those heat tables or anything else of that nature, then you know the things that Fabomi's company provides. Reporting on infrastructure, power usage, space, energy, equipment, performance, so the facilities and the facilities team can make critical decisions in optimizing resources and gauge the effectiveness of the energy efficiencies effort. Fabomi is a graduate of the University of San Francisco with a Bachelor's of Science in Information Systems. He has received his MBA from Golden Gate University and holds a certificate in Management Development for Entrepreneurs from the University of California, Los Angeles, the Anderson School of Management. Fabomi provides direction and oversees all aspects of his company's activity. He's directly responsible for sales, marketing, strategic planning, and he spearheads corporate expansion and other initiatives. Prior to Fabomi's creation of his organization, he was director of Worldwide Technology, which is a leading integrator of technology products and services, supply chain solutions to customers around the world. And prior to that, he was a senior engineer and manager at SBC, now known as AT&T, one of the largest communication corporations companies in the United States and the world. Stan Washington is president and co-founder of Honor Services Incorporated. Stan Washington graduated from the University of Illinois, where he received a BA degree in computer science and speech communications. He was recruited to GTE as a programmer, where he developed the enhanced 911 system. From there, he was recruited to a consulting firm where he did strategic planning and management consulting across the nation. Stan has also been a consultant for industries such as for food services, energy, manufacturing, telecommunications, and insurance. He's transformed the businesses and achieved higher productivities and maintained focus on the bottom line. One client, McDonald's Corporation, recruited him, and there he spent the bulk of his tenure. Stan was the Senior Director of Operations and Technology, where he led the vision of the $21 billion portion of the company and drove technology for 14,000 locations through 70 employees and consultants. He introduced debit and credit technology and customer relationship management and e-learning used by billions each year. Stan decided to strike it out on his own and become an entrepreneur in his current role as president and founder of Honors Services Incorporated, doing business as FixRes.com, a career coach office. He leads a group of certified professional resume writers and career coaches, ensuring his clients more visibility through professional resume writing and interview coaching services that helps them land the job. Before we get started, I want to thank a couple of people and give you just some general ground rules. First off, I'd like to definitely thank Pablo More, Wayne Hicks, Mildred Allen, Milt Haynes, and Paulette Johnson-Davis for their support in the development of these series and helping with promotion and links and just all sorts of great things that they've helped do. I'd like to remind you that we will be recording the session, so we ask that you mute your headsets or telephones or whatever you have at your end. There will be we'll be taking questions throughout the session. In your what I believe to be your right-hand side, your left-hand side, there should be a box that will allow you. It's called questions and answers. If you do not see it, you may want to take a look at your screen. But there's a Q&A at the top ribbon. You can click on that, and that's where you can type questions and answers. And if you direct them to me, Clifford Clark, we will see them, and we will integrate them into our conversation. As you're aware, this is a fireside chat, so our format today is basically you'll have some conversation with the two guest speakers here, and we will be in a position to ensure that we'll take your questions. And thank you so very much, gentlemen, for advancing those slides for me. The session is being recorded, and with the hope that at some point in time in the future we will be able to share this information, whether through a web chat or something else of that nature. So welcome, gentlemen. I want to thank both of you for being here with us today. You're both very successful entrepreneurs in your own ranks, spending a significant amount of time in a successful corporate career, and then deciding, both of you, to kind of strike it out on your own and become your own personal entrepreneurs. This particular conversation will focus on the emerging businesses issues like operations, marketing, referrals, networking, and whatever else the audience decides to take us, what other direction the audience decides to take us. We'll pay particular attention to lessons learned along the way. So I'd like to get right into it and kind of start a little bit with the operations side of the house. So tell us a little bit about some operational obstacles that you may have had to overcome. And Stan and I recently were on a conversation about pulling up a website, a server, standing up a server for e-commerce. So Stan, I'll start off with you with that in the backdrop. Why don't you tell us about some of the obstacles you've had from an operational standpoint that you've had to overcome?
Well, Cliff, thanks a lot for having me, and thank you for having me back again. You picked a great topic, and operations is a great place to start. At first I had a very shallow view of the business. I thought that just throwing up a website was the way to go, and that's it. I mean, it sounded simple to me, just up the doors, putting up a website, and everything was going to be fine. Well, that was my first mistake. I really didn't understand what would go wrong on a daily basis. I pretty much thought everything was going to go very smoothly. Servers being down, people not having the right kind of credit card. I wasn't PCI compliant, payment card industry compliant. I took checks at one point, and that was a big mistake because a few of them are still bouncing around the world. My next big mistake was trying to be too creative. We develop professional resumes. We offer career coaching and mock interview practice. But I initially thought I was going to be mailing resumes to people, so we were about this paper copy that we were going to send out and selling paper and doing all kinds of just different wild ideas, any and every idea to make some money. But I really didn't have my operations focused. Until I was really into the business, that's when we sat down, all of us, we sat down and we said, what are we really doing? What we're really doing is we want to make sure that we have a professional process that is easy to use. And so we started looking at our processes, we started looking at our website, we started looking at the payment processes, and we really changed everything. We changed our website, we changed how we addressed the customer, the back and forth was cut down, and we started looking at our business processes to make sure that we had something that was very good and easy for the person to operate. Now, anytime that something is easy for the customer, it's going to be hard for you. And so we wanted to make sure that on the backside, everything looks great for the customer, but there's a lot of scrambling around on the backside. So we really we had to focus in on our operations.
Now, that seems like a very a significant start, and I want to make sure that we get a chance to get everybody in the conversation, but I do want to drill down on that. Fabomi, can you share with us maybe an operational challenge that you've had?
Feel free to skip that because you bringing up a very, very bad memory when I have to talk about this. I have a couple of people in the company on the line, and they know exactly where I'm going with this. We were the winner of a very, very large project. I cannot name the corporation because it's a very, very large corporation. But I can tell you it has something to do with building out the entire network for iPhone. And the only reason we were given that project was because of our stellar, absolutely stellar reputation for building this kind of stuff. Unfortunately, upon getting the contract, it was supposed to be about an 18-month project. The customer decided it has to be done in 3 months. It's literally like what the Bible said, trying to put a camel through the eye of a needle. It's physically impossible. There's just no way. It just can't happen. We need to walk away from the project. Unfortunately, like I said, this is a very large customer. They were indirectly or directly responsible for north of 60% of our revenue, and they threatened to pull everything from us if we walked away. So it wasn't so much that we were not prepared, it was being thrown such a curveball. Let's just say the company tripled in such a short amount of time. It was such a monumental task to try to condense such a huge project into a short amount of time, but most importantly, the customer wasn't even ready. They were making modifications as the project was going on, compounding it. So for the people on the line, sometimes it's worth actually walking away and risking everything. To this day, I still wish that I had just dared them and just walked away. We ended up completing the project. We did a with the hand that was dealt us, we did an amazing job. For those of you that are using iPhone, of course, I won't name the company. If your iPhone is working, it's a proof that, in fact, we did an amazing job. The downside was that when you have to condense a project like that, you have significant cost overrun. And for a company our size, we have to swallow north of $6 million that the customer refused to pay. So we got beat up pretty badly, and on top of that, not even paid for everything that we did. So don't ask me that question again.
Well, and I think that there's great learnings in that. And again, the rest of all of our participants are free to chime in with questions and things of that nature. But so let me just recap some of the things that both of you gentlemen brought to the bear and this conversation. Obviously, there was an issue of strategy, right? So whether or not the strategy was well in place, or maybe that it was so loose that you over-focused, or maybe not focused sharply enough on the things, your core competencies, or the things that you can do, or even I'd stretch it and say, even what your comfort zone is. Fabomi and both Stan mentioned this this almost instantaneous growth that happened in relatively short order. Stan, you brought up the fact of bringing on new processes rather rapidly in the case of, standing up the servers for that. And those are all dangerous things. Sometimes we kind of get blinded by the dollars, and that's obviously evident in the things that you said, Fabomi.
That's right.
Absolutely correct. I mean, one of the things that we always do is we try to write a business plan, and you try to think of all the things that will go right. And sometimes you even think of some of the things that will go wrong. That's really the takeaway that I'm trying to get the audience to see. But until, just like Fabomi said, until you experience it, you don't know when somebody's going to throw you a curveball, when some client is going to throw you a curveball. In his case, it was a very large client. But in my case, it was just our practices wouldn't withstand all of the people that were calling all at once. It wouldn't withstand a high arrival rate. It wouldn't withstand certain old processes. And so we had to really revamp some things.
Yeah, let me support what Stan just said. Revenue is very important. Let me be very clear about that. That there's been more companies going out of business during the growth period than when they were struggling. Okay? So be very, very careful what you sign up for.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how big the corporation is, at the end of the day, they're looking out for their own best interest. You have to force yourself to think what can go wrong. My team, they know that now. Every project we scrutinize it as if there's no tomorrow. You have to do that.
And I think that's an excellent lesson learned. Particularly, Fabomi, in your case, as you indicated, I mean, you ate a significant amount of dollars. Stan, you mentioned the checks still bouncing around the world. That, at least in both of your cases, you were capitalized enough to absorb the hit. Larger organizations, and particularly when you're forced to grow real rapidly, sometimes, emerging organizations don't quite understand the structure or the legal process associated with what a company might do if they end up suing you or whatever have you. So, they will definitely hold your feet to the fire for some of the things. And as Fabomi mentioned, I mean, as they were holding his company's feet to the fire, they were still insured. I mean, they weren't even ready to accept the process, but it doesn't matter. It's what they're expecting of you. So those are all excellent points. I'm going to switch gears a little bit, gentlemen, and I'll have you kind of talk a little bit about marketing. Nowadays, people think that it's kind of easy to do marketing. We'll talk a little bit about social networking a little bit later on and referrals and that kind of stuff. But what about the general marketing? What are your companies doing? What have you learned in the marketing space? What things do you feel you need to do to ensure your company's viability associated with marketing? I'll start off with Stan.
Marketing is probably the most underestimated part of the business. When we first started, I thought that I would go ahead and do radio marketing, radio advertising. And so we got an ad together, and we went on Clear Channel, went on multiracial stations, and we thought that we were just going to go ahead and just bring in a boatload of people. Well, doors opened up, nobody called. The ad ran, nobody called. But what was funny was I wasn't hearing the ad playing on the stations that we were promised. Turns out that the marketing group accidentally signed up on the wrong station. We were on an AM station, not an FM station. Oops. And right, and so we were getting where we were thinking that we were going to get IT people and high-end consultants and vice presidents. We were getting bus drivers, and there's nothing wrong with being a bus driver, trust me. But they aren't going to buy a resume. They aren't going to get career coaching, and we were on the wrong station. And so we had to go ahead and quickly fix that. Marketing is very, very, very important. I remember fixing that and getting the right individuals to come in. But not all channels of advertising, not all channels work well. We could talk about that a little while when we talk about social marketing. But the radio marketing went somewhat well. It was a little bit bumpy. Magazine, that worked a little bit, but that was a little bit bumpy. But what I found was our best avenue was when we went to market through individuals at different events, like the National MBA, Black MBA Association.
Great. So, Bobby, how about you? What type of marketing does your organization do, and how have you found, what best practices have you found?
Yeah, so first let's look at the basics. Without marketing, nobody really knows you exist. It is really that simple. Of course, marketing comes in different flavors. It is a different thing for big companies, and for a small company, it could be as simple as word of mouth. And I'll be honest with you, for many, many years, Crestpoint, we never advertised anything. I mean, the most we did was have a website, and I think it wasn't too long ago that I was shocked to find out the amount of traffic that we were getting on our website, not from the United States. I'm talking the second highest traffic we were getting on our website was from South Korea. We've never sold a dime to South Korea. We got people from India, from Vietnam, and all that stuff. It shows that website by itself doesn't actually do the selling. Sure, it's a way for people to know that you are there. Targeted marketing is very, very critical. Because of the way Crestpoint is set up, we have product side, that's our software. We also have the service side where we do integration, engineering, and energy practice. Depending on the customer, when you go out there and you say, we do energy practice, okay, everybody easily kind of understand that. We do installation and integration. Yep, we need that. But for software or our engineering side, you need to explain that to people. So as we move further and further away from some of our low-end services and more into the high-end margin business like our software, we found out that, in fact, we really do need to be out there. If you've ever been to our website, say early this year compared to what we have right now, you will see that that's completely different. And again, later on we get into the social networking piece. What we are now doing is targeted advertising to specific segment in the data center industry, because those are the people that will use our software. Like Stan was saying, I don't have anything against a bus driver or a teacher or whatever, but they're not going to buy our software. Therefore, being absolutely focused and targeted is how we are going about our marketing.
Yes, that's the truth. You'll waste a lot of money trying to appeal to the mass, and just like Fabomi said, I mean, you really got to get that. You got to know who your customer is. I met a gentleman who was running an office supply company, and he told me that he had his contract set up for the next 2 years, and yet he was still marketing to a specific group of people simply because he knows that 2 years from now it's going to be too late to start trying to get somebody else. So he's already started building his pipeline and making sure that that he markets to the right people at the right time. So I had to take that. I had to make sure that I always had a pipeline, and I always could market to the right group, as opposed to somebody that I think will buy. You got to market to somebody you know will buy.
Well, let me jump in real quick and just I'll let you swing back around here, Fabomi, but just a couple of quick notes. You know, basically, obviously, you need a marketing plan. You need to be able to market. What we're hearing is that you need to have the channels. You need to know the channels. There's so many different channels out there. I mean, is anybody putting anything in Yellow Pages anymore? Is it in the right? Does that even matter? Those are rhetorical. I'm not expecting an answer on that. But obviously, everybody needs to think about that. What national, domestic, international, domestic. Somebody needs to monitor the success of it. And these are all different things that I'm hearing. Go ahead, Fabomi. You wanted to add something.
Yeah, well, what Stan was referring to is what I call the difference between recurring revenue and reoccurring revenue. Okay? I'm not saying the same thing. When something is recurring, it's frequent, it's habitual, it's persistent. Reoccurring means something that happens or takes place. Most businesses are in the business of reoccurring revenue. But the most successful businesses are in the recurring revenue, where the owner is making money even when they are sleeping.
That's a very strong point.
The CEO of Google makes money whether they wake up or whatever, because you and I get on Google and we do search. When you, if you take a 6-month vacation, shut everything down in your house, when you come back, there will be 6 months of phone bill waiting for you. There will be 6 months of electricity and gas waiting for you. These are recurring revenue that are something that is built in, that no matter what's going on, you still have to pay. If in the MBA, if anything is taught to students, I think the difference between recurring revenue and reoccurring revenue should always be the first thing that is taught. Unfortunately, it is not. It is like the Holy Grail, the secret to success. So for the audience, here's what I'm trying to say here. Find a way. I don't care how you do it. Find a way to give away that is very, very critical to you, that is important to your business, that triggers that customer owes you money. If you find a way to do that, you just figure out the secret to success. I can't tell you what it is because every business is different. But I can tell you, look at some of the richest companies in this country. They are not dependent on the next project. It's already built into the last project.
Amen.
Absolutely good. Absolutely a good point here. I'm going to move us on because I know we have a lot to talk about. And this is a great integration point. You can still bring in your comments. Darius wants you to address the social networking aspect of staying connected and marketing. And both of you gentlemen have kind of mentioned the searching, Google, the search engine optimization, and being found by folks out in Korea and China and other ways. Let's talk a little bit about the value proposition of social media and that connection. Fabomi, let's start with you this time.
All right. Social media, social networking is driving me absolutely crazy. Here's why. I know it helps with the buzz. It absolutely does. I haven't even figured out how do you monetize it. Now, what I'm hearing is that there are more traffic going into Coca-Cola Facebook page than are going to Coca-Cola website. That's amazing, right? Is that translating to revenue for Coca-Cola? You actually know a guy that I should ask that question to, Irvin Bishop. You know who I'm talking about. So for us, we know it helps with the buzz for sure, and I'm a big advocate of it. If you are on my LinkedIn this morning, you will have received something from me that give a little bit of a news item, and attached to that is information about Crestpoint and our services and link to our website. I'm bought into it. What we are doing here now is we're trying to pay attention to how the big guys are using it. You have to take your cue from the guys who seem to actually be controlling and directing these things. If we can figure out how they are monetizing it, you better believe we are going to be doing the same thing. So I'm going to tell the audience, don't discount it. Even if it's not working for you right now, hang in there, continue to do it, because I think eventually we are going to figure out how to monetize it.
That's an excellent point on the monetization. So, Stan, talk a little bit about what you're doing with social media.
Okay, so social media, what Fabomi said is right. It gets on your nerves. All right, so we started off with a marketing campaign that started on Facebook. We also did one in Google, in which you put some kind of small ad that's targeted to your audience, and you're supposed to get either impressions, in which it's just going to show up and it doesn't matter who clicks on it, or that you get charged for click-throughs, the number of people that actually click on the ad and come to your website. Well, and being somewhat of a nerd, I looked at my web statistics, and for some reason, from what Facebook and both Google said that I did, as far as the number of people that were clicking on my site and going to visit my site versus the web statistics on my site, they were always different. My site never said that they had all the people that both Google and Facebook said that I was getting. And so I said, wait a second, it isn't giving me the traffic. This is what Fabomi said. It isn't monetizing. It isn't giving me money in my pocket. What I found was Facebook was getting a lot of money. All right? And that's just one side of advertising. I understand that you can build a Facebook page and people can come and visit, but the bottom line, I think that both Fabomi and I are going to go ahead and agree on this. The bottom line is the bottom line. Are you getting money or conversions for people looking at your website? Because you don't want people just looking at your website. You actually want them converting over to being customers. And so,
absolutely.
And so I would say that I have a very difficult time with the excitement of Facebook, because Facebook and even LinkedIn in some instances, some other places, Twitter, Facebook has a lot of people, and people are trying to capitalize on that. Well, that's great. Large companies like McDonald's Corporation, that's the one I left, large companies like them spend $1 billion, not an M, $1 billion on marketing. They also have the resources that they can put together a Facebook page that's very interactive to download coupons, and they can track those coupons as they come into the restaurants. But Fabomi and I have services. And so, yes, we can provide a coupon, but it doesn't always work that way. And so it's very difficult for a service-oriented company to do the same thing as a company with a product, like a Coca-Cola, Jack in the Box, so on and so forth, where you can get a coupon. So it's just difficult to say that social networking monetized is easy.
So these are all great points, gentlemen, and I just want to continually kind of circle back around and recap some of the issues here that we're on here. And obviously turning any type of social media into real dollars, because it takes real dollars to maintain it and keep it up and keep it relevant and fresh, and that's real time, real money. So, yeah, organizations need to be thinking about ways of turning that into real dollars and monetizing it. Obviously, without it, it's almost table stakes in this day and age, just like it's almost table stakes to have a website. You almost need to have a social media presence, but the issue is monetizing it. Another good little trinket that was thrown out there was the difference between the Google ads or Yahoo ads or any of the services that you have and your actual weblog, and to kind of taking that information blindly from Google without cross-referencing it, especially for us guys in technology, that's probably a no-no. We probably need to make sure that we have an audit process of some sort, that if they say you owe $50 because you had 5 million hits, that you really had 5 million hits. And I think there was another little trinket, is that simply just a click and stop or even a click through is not enough. Obviously, turning that into a long-term customer of some sort is all very, very important. Now, I want to switch gears a little bit, and obviously you can continue to do that, continue to ask questions or answer questions regarding social media. But, you know, one of the things that I see happening, and I'd like you guys to talk to it, is that, you know, we've learned about social media, and now the physical or the real media or networking has kind of dropped off. I've seen organizations and companies and people in companies forget their personal skills, their personal networking skills. Is that still relevant today, gentlemen? Fabomi, why don't you tell me a little bit about what you think there?
Well, you tell me the last guy that went to a job interview with his pants sagging and got the job, and I'll tell you how relevant that is. Okay? You cannot lose that is actually part of the culture that's endemic in all of us. So people forget that they are no longer chatting with their best friends, and they send email that is unacceptable. And when they find themselves in front of the HR or they lose their job, they're wondering, what did I do? It is very, very relevant. I mean, what works in my organization may not work in Stan's organization, but we all know what the decorum is. If I comport myself within certain guidelines, I can go into IBM, Microsoft, HP, and it will be a perfect fit. So I guess people in general, especially in a work environment, we need to be able to differentiate when we are on social network with our friends or family members and when we are doing company's business. Those old rules are still very, very true. HR, for a company like ours, we are right here in the shadow of Silicon Valley in California. Our state is an incredibly litigious state. The slightest of thing can drag a company to court. Therefore, we have to be extra sensitive, and therefore, we will hold you to those old standards.
Great. Stan, why don't you chime in on the need or what you see in regards to the actual person-to-person touch?
You know what? Networking has actually become the way in which we're going to market our next venture. At one point, we thought we were going to hide behind advertising through some kind of social media, Twitter ads, so on and so forth.
Oh, man.
But you know what? The best way to actually get business is to actually shake somebody's hand and look them in the eye. That's just all there is to it. And you're not going to be able to get business without having business relationships. It's going to take enough people talking about your product. It's going to take a lot of people that are pulling for you. You can't do it by yourself, and you got to go ahead and meet these individuals that can become cheerleaders for your company. You have to meet individuals that are going to spread word about your company. You have to meet individuals who actually can talk a little bit more about your company and get that word of mouth that Fabomi was talking about. One of the things that's very, very important nowadays is that just like somebody looking for a job, you have to be very persistent. You have to carry yourself with the right decorum, just like Fabomi said, and you also have to have a good product. And they are not going to believe in you if you're just hiding behind some kind of website, because anybody can do that.
That is a great point. I'll steal it from you right there. I mean, one of the things that I've often said, I've been saying for years as we've been coming into our web presence in regards to websites and things like that, so you can tell this is many years old, that the web has been truly a great equalizer. If you had a good web designer, you can stand up a site and it would look very, very professional. But the bottom line is before anybody will spend that dime with you, they almost want to know who they're dealing with. So your professional abilities, your professional persona, and your ability to network is extremely important. Let's take a question. We have a question, a few of them starting to pile up here. The question, this one's from Pablo. He wanted to know the impact of the global economy on your respective businesses. And Stan, you and I had been talking about a situation where you had a very, very polished client that found themselves, unemployed and finding some level of difficulty becoming employed. Stan, you want to talk about that?
Correct. There was a gentleman that had my position in McDonald's. He went on ahead and went to another company and became the CIO of a very, very large company from there. And right now, this gentleman graduated with an MBA from Harvard, and he's out of work. I would have to say that the impact, I mentioned this on the national call yesterday, the impact of African Americans in the workforce, and they've been hit the hardest out of all races. As a matter of fact, it is anywhere between 19% all the way up to 30% in some cities where African Americans are employed. And that does not include the figures that are of individuals that are underemployed. So the impact of what's going on now economically is just incredible. It's affecting businesses and business plans thoroughly. It's forcing individuals to go into businesses that they aren't ready for in some instances. And in some instances, it's also driving some people out of business because they don't have enough revenue coming in. And so I would say that if you're going to look at any kind of venture, you got to really, really take it seriously. Make sure that you're not putting yourself in a worse position, and make sure that you have a good plan with a good audience so that you can really be focused on what's going on. You have a lot of labor, but you may not have a lot of buyers. Hopefully that helped out.
All right. I guess for me to join in, I have to say it is a very real problem. It's rather confounding because when you think about the big corporations, they report this incredible revenue and profit. I think I just heard it in the news just yesterday that Apple is sitting on about $87 billion cash. That's not revenue, cash, money that, what do we do with this? And yet, the same corporations, they're cutting back on spending, they're cutting back on hiring. So as businesses, I mean, as an example, our customers are some of the largest companies like I mentioned, Apple, Verizon, AT&T. And we're kind of fortunate in the sense that we have a product that when we give a presentation to these data center managers, you hear things like, wow, oh yeah, we definitely want this. Except when we give them the code and they like the numbers and everything, they don't know if they have money for this budget, or maybe it will be next year budget. And they delay and they delay. So for a small company, it doesn't take a whole lot to impact your business, but you know what? It doesn't take a whole lot to mess you up either. So this problem, while it's global, there seems to be something endemic inside the country that nobody seems to be able to put their finger on. I think one thing that we all can agree to is that we're all part of the 99%. I know I am. It's definitely a problem, but it's not a problem that we're not going to get over. So my thing would be hang in there, cut your costs, whatever you need to do, and just stay put until this thing turns around.
All right, I think that's good advice. I know that a lot of the emerging businesses that I speak to on a regular basis are obviously concerned of the political environment today, and the uncertainty is probably why they're sitting on some dollars, and the fact that they've been able to get away without spending it is something that is encouraging that hoarding, so to say. I'm going to switch gears again because along this lines, another individual, I think this is Darius again, wanted to know about the use of technology to shorten the sales cycle, and particularly since both of your companies are service-based companies. You have some products, but it's generally a service product as opposed to a flat-out commodity off the shelf. How are you using technology, or are you using technology to shorten the sales cycle for your deliverables? And
well,
Stan, we'll start with you.
I sure would like a short sales cycle. It would be nice. And Fabomi can go into this a little bit further because he has some larger clients, but when we start dealing with a sales cycle, a website and customer relationship management software is very, very nice. We got a chance to put information into a customer relationship management software and really be able to keep ourselves focused and on task. So I would say that that customer relationship management software is very, very good for that. It doesn't take away you going and shaking somebody's hand though, and really talking to them and trying to convince them that your product is in fact superior. And so, but I tell you, customer relationship management software, some kind of invoicing, just tools that businesses use, they always keep you managed and keep you properly organized so that you can look professional enough to be able to land that deal.
Sounds good. Fabomi?
Yeah, as a technology company, we have all kinds of tools. The one tool that we haven't found, or that I wish I know how to invent it myself, because then I'll be one of those 1%, is that tool that would then force a customer to sign the PO quicker. Okay? We haven't figured it out. I mean, we have Salesforce, we have all kinds of tracking tools, but that's what they are, tracking tools. What is important is what Stan said before, being able to engage your customer. One customer that can advocate for you is worth 20, even 100 that you're trying to reach out to. Maybe I need to get over my own issues here. I get a lot of spam mails trying to sell me this or sell me that. I can honestly say I haven't bought anything that I was spammed on. But I'll tell you that I do forward it to the right people in the organization. If it's HR related, I send it to our HR manager. If it's IT related, it goes to the IT folks and so on. But I personally have never bought anything because somebody spammed me. Because of that, I'm very, very reluctant to spam somebody. Okay? I know it's one of the things that we are looking at and we're probably going to do because everybody else is doing it. But even when you spam, let's say somebody do respond to that email, then you need that human interactivity or human interaction to then conclude the deal. So I'm not so sure there's such a thing as an electronic way of closing a deal. I think that's where the rubber meets the road. You have to do your end of that.
Great, thank you. It's interesting as we referenced the fact that companies are sitting on money, but you're absolutely right. They're very slow to actually finish out that sales cycle, finish out getting the check in hand. And you brought up another thing, and another point that I'd like to take as our last discussion point before our time expires, is HR issues, and particularly, when do you know it's time to bring someone else on? When do you know that you need to hire someone to help you? As we mentioned before, in the current economy, we have a lot of people sitting on money, not hiring people. But when do you know? Fabomi?
Well, it falls into one of those weatherman answer. It depends. If you have a need for a particular skill set that you just don't have in the company, well, that's crystal clear. You need to go get that engineer. You need to go get that analyst or whatever, because you don't have that position, but you have a need for it. Anything else, it depends on how critical and is this being paid for. You remember earlier I said most companies goes out of business by during growth period than when they're struggling. The way I look at hiring is, do I have the revenue to offset these costs? And at the end of it, will it result in profit? Anybody that's listened to me in other panel discussion, we know I always throw out revenue minus cost equal profit or loss. So to hire, I need to, again, this is speaking for me, my organization, I need to know that the cost of bringing that person in is justified. I don't believe in building it and hope they come when it comes to HR, to hiring personnel. That's why all these organizations can justify not hiring, because they're making money anyway. Why increase the cost? If there is a true need for it, it means you already identify how you're going to pay for it, and therefore you will make that call.
Stan?
Yeah, there is a philosophy of not hiring individuals or 1099ing the individuals so that you can go ahead and get your work done. The danger that has just recently come out is, especially if you 1099 people, you better watch out because you're in California. There's a lot of states right now that are starting to crack down on 1099 companies that have 1099 employees. If you looks and smells like an employee, you better make them an employee is what they're saying. The problem with that is, Fabomi is saying it very, very clearly. If you don't have the revenue and you have this person, suddenly you got a big mess on your hands. And so you don't want to mess with someone's life. So if you can, try your best to 1099 them and have them do only the work that you want them to do. But if it looks and smells like an employee, you have to make them an employee.
Yeah, you must remember, the best thing that you can do for anybody is to give them a job. The worst thing you can do for anybody is to take their job away. If you can look at it from that point, then you will be able to say, how long do I really need this person? If it's just going to be for 6 months, how about having some of the other people do a little bit extra, spread the work around?
That's right.
If that's not possible and you got to bring this person in, like Stan said, you better be crystal clear right from the get-go that it is a temporary position, part-time or whatever, and go for that. When you bring somebody in full-time, at least in my state, it's not that easy getting rid of them.
Right. That's both excellent points. Hire smart. I know that I said to try and squeeze out end it with this question, but a couple more have come in. So quickly, gentlemen, just tell me. I'll start with you, Fabomi. Have you taken a look at the government side of the house, particularly selling to defense contractors or government buildings and things like that? And Stan, for you, same thing. Have you looked at your services helping out veterans returning from Iraq and so on and so forth?
Well, there's nothing that would give me the greatest joy than to sell for the government. If for no other reason, I can start getting some of my tax money back in my pocket. That's really what it is. Every year, we make a move towards the government. It is not easy, and I'm not saying that to discourage anybody. It's actually, it can be done. The government just don't buy like you can walk into a corporation and they have a need for a copier and you sell a copier. If the price is right, they'll buy from you. The government just doesn't work like that. It's a long, drawn-out process. You have to know the right people. You have to be well connected. They push you toward partnership with some bigger companies. Like I said, every year we go through this song and dance, and then something else happens on the commercial side. We drop the government side. Eventually, I hope to definitely make the right connection, get in there. I do have some good connection. I should emphasize that. I have some connection, but we just haven't given it the maximum effort that it deserves. My understanding is that once you get into the government, it can be that recurring revenue that you're looking for. That is why we encourage anybody to do it, but be ready to do your homework. It is not easy. Crestpoint is a very well-organized company. We're a technology company, so all this paperwork and whatever, it's not even an issue for us. It's the human part of it that is absolutely dragging.
Very good. Stan?
You know, at one point I was just looking for this government thing as an opportunity to spread my wings. So a few months ago, we bid on a government contract and got it. Well, that's great news. That's the great news. But not so great news is that we got the contract. And dealing with the government is sometimes very, very frustrating in terms of handoffs. I'm about to go down. We have a contract with the Air Force, and I'm going down tomorrow. As a matter of fact, I'm leaving in a few hours to go down to St. Louis and work with their group on the individuals returning from Afghanistan and some other individuals that are leaving the Air Force, and we're going to do some career services for them as they're exiting. It sounds like a wonderful, wonderful contract, but we've been dealing with this now for about 2 months. So let's just say that if we were depending on the revenue, it would have been a pain. Fortunately, you know, we aren't depending on that revenue, but if we were just depending on that revenue because we landed the contract, we'd be in trouble right now because, once again, it's been 2 months and we're still talking about things. We actually have the contract, and we still haven't seen any revenue from it yet.
It's not surprising. Gentlemen, our time has expired, and I do want to thank you both, Fabomi Ojuola and Stan Washington from Crestpoint Solutions and Fixed Rev and Honor Services, respectively. We had another great session, and the time truly has flown by. For those who are listening on the conference bridge, if you'd like, you can send me an email, give us feedback on whether or not you like the session. We'll pass that along, or even contact the National BDPA via emails or the Member Services, Vice President of Member Services. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for participating. A lot of good things out of here. Everything's from starting with a focused strategy and making sure that you're comfortable with moving forward. Maybe some growth is great, but sudden, large, uncomfortable growth may not be. Watch out for new processes. We also talked about the marketing side, both the personal face-to-face, make sure you're watching your channels, and also the web-based SEO and social media. We talked a lot about make sure we're monitoring our logs and turning all that social media into a real bottom line result. And, of course, we talked a great deal about the HR issues associated with bringing up the business. Gentlemen, once again, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank all of the callers who came in to the session and registered. We really do appreciate it. Do let us know how you like it, and we will be sure that if it's of value to you, we'll make sure and continue it. So, everyone, have a great night. And, again, thank you for participating on the fourth quarter career development webinar. Thank you, and have a great night.
Thank you, guys.
It's a pleasure.